religious people in general, they have it exactly the opposite of how it is.
Tonight, I'm at Franklin's Salon in New York City to host a very special live last meal with professor, philosopher, and analog nomad Peter Boghossian.
So I think that there are ways that people can level up as a human being. I think that there are things that people can do and experiences that people can have that they can just become better versions of themselves.
Peter travels the world having, as he describes them, impossible conversations with people from all walks of life.
I think that there's this idea that percolates throughout the culture that if there's no objective meaning or objective purpose, then that somehow demeans your life. But I think that's exactly the opposite of the case.
His dedication to critical thinking, skepticism, and the Socratic method underpins his prolific attempts to have good faith dialogue and truly understand the motivations behind how we form our opinions.
I think it's because there's no eternal ledger, because there's no purpose with a capital P, that your life is completely infused with meaning. It's exactly what you make it to be. Every moment is an opportunity for you to do something to kind of enrich the aggregate meaning in your life.
Food defines us, but every feast must come to an end. When facing mortality, life's big questions are served.
This is Last Meal, where I prepare the dish my guest would want if it were their last.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for coming, and thanks to the hosts. Is that supposed to be bird noise?
Yeah, that's your background music.
Close to my death. I thought, wow, would I hear
Some
birds?
people have Eye of the Tiger, and you have weird fucking...
I feel a little verklempt. I feel a little bit overwhelmed right now. I remember when my since we're going to be talking about death, I remember when my dad died. I was just totally taken. I was totally inconsolable. I was sobbing, and the woman at the hospital said to me, you know, normally we don't recommend counseling for people, but you have to go into counseling because something is wrong. I'll just say a very quick story, unsolicited. But when my mom died, it didn't really hit me that my mom had died until I was at her funeral, and some guy fell asleep at her funeral, and he was snoring, and I just thought that was hilarious. And then I thought, wow, God, I can't wait to tell my mom about this. And then it just totally hit me. It just detonated, like, wow, I will never tell my mom about anything ever again. And it was just like, and then I was just weeping, so. What a way to start the evening. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Peter and I were talking before this, and I was like, let's keep it light and funny. Fucking hell. You spend most of your time, I guess, trying to get people to have better conversations. Would that be a fair characterization?
True. Civil conversations and think about why they believe what they believe.
Okay. So if you were going to be hosting a dinner party, let's say, to teach people to have better conversations, what would be on the table and what would be the rules?
I don't think I'd set any rules. I'd give a guideline. So I think that conversation would be when people disagreed with each other about things. And so I think I don't like the word rule, but the suggestion would be listen more than you talk, and try to repeat back to somebody what it is that you think you heard. And then you're looking for them to kind of agree. So often conversations, people just disagree, but they're really not, the object of their disagreement is disparate. They're not disagreeing about the same things. But I wouldn't have any rules.
So why is it that you think people believe what they believe? Do you think there's something deeper, or does everybody believe in evidence-based, reason-based things?
God, I've thought about, published about, read about, written about that for well over a quarter century now. So I'm completely convinced at this point in my life that virtually nobody formulates their beliefs on the basis of evidence and then weighs their beliefs out in proportion to the evidence, right? We don't calibrate our beliefs to the evidence. What we do is we want to belong, we want to be loved, more than that's one of the few things we want more than to be right. I think it was Oscar Wilde who said, the only thing people like more than sex and money is praise and recognition. So I think people want to belong to a community, but more than that, people believe things because their moral mind has overwritten their rational mind. So they'll look to their landscape of beliefs. It's called an epistemic landscape. They'll look to like reasons they have for believing things. They'll start with a moral impulse and they'll pick from their landscape. But the way they pick from the landscape is moral. It's not epistemic. It's not on the basis of evidence. It's on the basis of, Reed and I go around the world. I'm a good person. Good people believe this. Therefore, I believe this. So anything with an identity level salience is like a toxin to you thinking clearly about things.
Do you think that there's a way to sort of flip that on its head such that we can live better lives in the moment by thinking differently about how we formulate our beliefs?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a tremendous amount of work because you have to cultivate and you have to habituate certain habits of thought, certain patterns. Like you have to habituate, oh, how could I be wrong about that? So good, clear thinking is almost never about a skill set. It's never about explanation or can I make inferences or can I analyze some data set. It's never about that. It's about a disposition, an attitudinal disposition people have towards certain conclusions and stances in the world. And it's very, very difficult for people who don't possess the attitudinal disposition to somehow acquire the disposition. So we're always constantly fighting. God, we're just fighting everything. We're fighting our communities of belief. We're fighting our feelings of wanting to belong. We're fighting our feelings of morality, what we think makes us a good person. We're fighting any now in particular in the last few years, we're fighting our identity. Oh, I'm this, I believe this. It's thinking well is extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah, and it's so much tied with the communities that we find ourselves in, isn't it? So, such that you might feel ostracized if you didn't believe absolutely everything that the people in your community believe. Do you think you would live a better life if you were more honest about the nuance in things that you believe?
Me?
All of us.
I think it's Socrates' question. I think it depends on what kind of life you want to lead. I mean, I personally believe that there are certain lives to lead that are better than other lives. I did my dissertation many years ago in the prisons, and I work with prison inmates to help them increase their moral reasoning about things. And when you ask that, and you can read this, these conversations are published. When I would ask them things like, oh, is one type of life better to lead than another? Universally, they would say no. But just a few targeted, this stuff is really not that difficult to do. It's difficult to become really good at, but it's not difficult to do. You just have to figure out what is the relationship between belief and morality? And once you figure out that, all you need to do is ask the most important question you can ever ask yourself or anybody else in your whole life. How could I be wrong about that? How could I be wrong about that? And once you've done that, if you habituate that on yourself, it's a kind of way of imposing a structure upon yourself. It's like Popper calls it falsifiability. So you're not looking to your landscape to find things you believe and justify it. You're trying to figure out, is this true? How can I be less wrong more often? And again, it's just, what would it take for me to change my mind about that? It's just such a great question. And almost nobody asks it. People ask the other question. There's nothing wrong with the question at all, but why do you believe that? And so consequently, people talk themselves into believing things as opposed to being more humble about what it is that they think that they know. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. We've been hanging out for a couple of days since we've been in New York.
Yeah.
You strike me as the kind of person who, I don't know how else to put this. You don't give a fuck about anyone.
I don't know if that's...
you will align yourself, you will stick to your beliefs, and you strike me as the kind of person who would be happy to be ostracized for your beliefs rather than hold beliefs that felt untrue to you. Is that a fair characterization?
Yeah, when you originally said don't care, I immediately my heart went to I have two kids. My heart went to my kids, but
that's not what I meant.
No, I know it's not what you meant, but that's where I'm kind of feeling a little emotional thinking about my own death. But I think God, I am feeling really emotional right now when I start to think about this stuff. So I think, Aristotle writes about friendship, and one of the things that's so important in relationships, and the thing that has been driven home to me in my life, and I wish I could tell young people this, that the thing that has really been driven home to me is that if you live your life and you lie, or you're not completely transparent in your life, the consequence of that is that nobody will really know who you are. They'll only know what you say. They'll know something else. So you'll never develop an authentic relationship with anybody. And if you look at the conversations and studies and data of people on their deathbed, it's never like, oh man, I should have worked harder. No, it's like your life has meaning for the relationships you have and the communities you've built, and all of the, I just think that we've misconstrued the nature of the problem from education beyond. It's not like you don't teach people self-esteem. Aristotle talks about this as well. You get self-esteem as a byproduct of something, musical, violin, or helping patients, or whatever it is. But there's something about knowing who loves you and why they actually love you. So the people in my life, they've all been kind of pre-culled, right? So I know the people in my life love me. I know that they care about me. And I think that's the other thing. It's like, whose voice doesn't matter? Just because you have a platform or what have you, it doesn't like, do you care about someone? Do they know you for who you are, and do you know them for who they are? And if that's in place, then those authentic relations, you can have a good life. You can have authentic relationships with people. But we're so busy worrying about, oh, this person thinks this, and who gives a fuck what anybody thinks? If you're worried about what people think, that is a recipe to immiserate yourself emotionally. It is a recipe for you to be ultimately lonely in your life. You have to disabuse yourself of this notion. That's my thought.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get from you. And also part of that is like having, that wasn't a joke, but thank you. I'll take the laugh.
Can I have some water? I want to knock over the mic. Yeah.
Having uncomfortable conversations is one thing I've struggled with over the course of my life with loved ones and the people, whose opinion does matter to you.
Yeah.
And, like sometimes food is about your waters there.
Cool, thanks.
They always say like the food people like the most is comfort food. But sometimes the conversations that you have with loved ones have to be uncomfortable conversations. Is life more about comfort or discomfort?
Again, it depends what kind of life you want to lead. I think it was Thomas Sowell who said, people conflate the terms niceness and kindness. If you want to be, I think it was Sowell said, if you want to be nice to someone, tell them what they want to hear. If you want to be kind to someone, tell them what's true. So we live in a deficit of kindness and a surfeit of niceness. And I'd much rather the people with whom I have authentic relationships are kind to me rather than nice to me. I don't want them to be, treat me like a dick, but I always want them to be honest and forthright with me. If you're not forthright with someone, you don't have a real relationship with them.
Something that you said before resonated with me when you said, I wish I could tell young people this. What is your contention? Do you believe that people learn best from doing or being told?
The data is pretty clear on that across a number of things. That people learn best from, in the education literature, it's called pro-social modeling. They learn best from seeing things. I think it was in Freakonomics, I just mentioned this the other day, that the number one indicator of whether a kid reads is not whether you read to them, it's whether they see you read. So similarly for smoking, like there's no point to tell your kid not to smoke. Why would you do that? Just don't smoke yourself. Start with yourself and then work out. So pro-social modeling is important. You just want to model the behavior that you want to see in others. It's like the listening thing. Listen first, try to understand, repeat back to someone, did I get this right? If they say no. Okay.
Yeah. And did you take that approach as well with kids, your kids, kind of like, do you allow them to make their own mistakes, or do you, and how does that make you feel as well when you have a kid and you watch them go through hardship or make their own mistakes? It must be tough. I don't have kids. I have a dog, but I don't know. Doesn't really count. He makes a lot of mistakes as well.
I honestly can't think of something. I guess I'm just like, honestly, my life is so awesome. Like, I've been on the road since August. I haven't had a day since August that hasn't been anything less than fucking awesome. I had incredible conversations with people way smarter than I am about a whole range of things.
And me.
And you. No, I mean, that's really true. For the last 5 years of my life, every day has been amazing.
Yeah.
So I can't, it's almost like, I think it was in mathematical numeracy and its consequences. It's like if you, this is maybe a little weird, but if you buy this multiverse theory, it's like every version of you is branching off. And I just think I got hit with the lucky stick. I got hit in the best possible version of all universes.
You got the one with the good hair.
No, man.
I love Peter's hair. Don't you guys love Peter's hair?
I love Peter's dimples.
Wow.
Careful. Gotta watch her.
I'm in trouble all day.
Has your perspective on your own mortality or death changed the older you've gotten?
Yeah, I think about killing myself a lot. I saw both of my parents die from cancer, and man, it is just ghastly. I mean, there's just nothing like it. And I see a lot of people shaking their heads in here. So if you found the best person in all of history to torture somebody, literally, teeth torture, every kind of torture, that would be chump change compared to cancer. So I don't want that to happen to me. So the older I get, I've been thinking about, okay, so I think I have a pretty good plan now for how I'm going to kill myself. But I just don't want to involve other people. I want to do it kind of where, in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, so I do think about that because I reflect, and again, I'm seeing people who are older now and nod their head because I just don't want that to happen. I think the thing that terrifies me is if I ever had Alzheimer's, I'd have to kill myself in a moment of lucidity. So I'd have to be aware that I was killing myself, which would not be good.
Alzheimer's would be a bad one for you because you seem to have a hyperactive mind.
That would be not good.
Yeah. Does anyone want to see what Peter Boghossian's last meal? That's what I'm talking about, right? Peter Boghossian, your last meal is...
Oh my God.
Pork belly.
Oh,
sorry. And if you know, you know. Potatoes in duck fat. And
you remembered.
Yes.
Wow.
And honeyed carrots.
Wow.
Tell us about
that
it.
from you?
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Thanks, Jill.
Is it kosher?
Yeah, of course it is. We removed all the crumbs off it just before.
Wow.
If last meals say something about the life that you lived, what do you think this meal says about you?
Oh man, it says that I had someone in my life who cared about me, because I just mentioned that duck fat thing to you once, and it was in a passing comment, and you remember that. So I'm very grateful for that. I love fat. If I had a wand and I could eat anything, 80% of my diet would be fat. I just love like today I was with Reed and I took all the fat, the skin, and I could just eat steak fat. I just love eating fat. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, because when I grew up, fat was vilified, and then I lived. You can't eat eggs, you don't eat white egg white omelets, eggs, all this. It's just, but there's something about fat that's just viscerally and primordially satisfying to me. I just love eating fat.
Well, there's a lot of fat on that plate.
Awesome.
Yeah.
To heaven.
You've been quite critical of sort of dogmatic belief, I guess, and people believing in blind traditions. But are there any kind of food traditions that you would want to keep in your life? Any rituals?
I really like, just in terms of food rituals, I really like, when you have sushi and you take the wasabi and you put it in the wasabi container and then you pour there's just something about that action when you're with somebody else and you're conversing over this ritual. So I really like that. And I like, sushi is my second favorite food. I like blowfish. I've always wanted to try blowfish, but it's federally illegal because you can die from it. But I think that,
And it really would be your last meal.
yeah, that truly would be my last meal. Yeah, so I think that's the only thing I can think of.
So there's a bit of like that Chinese tea ceremony element to the thing that you're talking about with the sushi, right? Putting the wasabi and the soy in the little containers, or
Yeah, it's a ritual.
is that what you mean? Is that,
yeah, it's kind of like a ritual that you engage in with other people,
Yeah.
and when you do it.
Are you a food purist? Like, are you one of those sort of, like, what's your opinion on pineapple on pizza?
Well, I don't eat bread and I don't eat cheese, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. But I love pineapple. Like sometimes I'll go to a restaurant and I'll see it's universally somebody young. They'll take their cup and they'll do this to all the things, and I'm just like mortified by that. To Coke machines, and they'll mix it. I find that to be just viscerally disturbing to me. But I don't really like to mix my food as a general rule on my plate. This is a weird conversation. Telling people total strangers are like weird things. No, in general I like, but I really enjoy tasting my food. It's one of the few things that like I just truly, that and jiu-jitsu, I can just truly turn my mind off and just taste my food.
I think it fascinates me. Some people just have preferences when it comes to food, and it's not just food, but it's how everyone lives their lives. And then they can become dogmatic about how other people enjoy their food as well. And I find the people that are like, no pineapple on pizza, whether they eat it or not, hate it when anyone else has pineapple on pizza.
No, I like to see people happy.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. And even people I don't like, I kind of have a reverse Schadenfreude.
Is there a word for that in German?
I don't know. I think I just invented the concept. I don't know.
Inverted Schotten. No. Yeah. Okay, tell me about, let's take you back to the last meal for a sec. Let's say I could give you the location and with whom you could share this meal. Who would that be?
Oh, well, I guess my first thought is I truly have so many people in my life I care deeply about, and I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude that they're in my life. Like, I'm just truly grateful. And so in one sense, I'd want them to be there with me. But in another sense, I don't know, I wouldn't want to demean my time with those people. So I think I would have to come down to just my kids. I'm very close to my kids. I have 2 kids. I don't know. I mean, I love Hungary, so maybe in Budapest with my kids. That's where I'd be.
What kind of conversations do you think you would be having with people at the end of the world? What are the kinds of things that you'd want to talk about? Because, I mean, you are an advocate for having different and difficult conversations with people. Are there any things that you think you haven't brought up with the folks that you love and we would want to have that conversation before you die?
So I've always thought, with all due respect to all the religious people here, I've always thought that like religious people in general, Christians in particular, they have it exactly the opposite of how it is. So, it's okay. No, but I think that there's this idea that percolates throughout the culture that if there's no objective meaning or objective purpose, if there's no there's some kind of eternal ledger in which your actions in life are written down, then that somehow demeans your life. But I think that's exactly the opposite of the case. I think it's because there's no eternal ledger, because there's no purpose with a capital P, that your life is completely infused with meaning. It's exactly what you make it to be. And that's why the idea that infused in that is every moment is an opportunity for you to do something to kind of enrich the aggregate meaning in your life. Does that make sense? Like just raise how much, what kind of life you live. And I think people have exactly the opposite way. Like, oh, if I behave this way, I'll get some prize.
Mm. And you think it gives less meaning to the end of life, or at least, well, it puts a different point on it, I guess. Like sharing that last moment would mean something different if you believe that it's actually going to continue.
I guess so. I mean, like if if somehow the nukes were flying, we had like 8 minutes to live, and I guess the conversation would be, what do you think about the purpose of life now? Or there's some asteroid that's going to come. I mean, we have these kind of, we just impose these kind of meaning templates on this life's topography. Like we have this, we're just basically apes, and we're trying to make sense of the world. And we latch on to kind of structures of thought to enable us to navigate that more successfully. But those structures, I mean, there's no politic way to say this, they're pretty much arbitrary. I mean, they've been around for a while, and maybe they work, and maybe they help you navigate sometimes more successfully than others, but there's no objectivity in those structures. It's just a way to prevent you from going insane, right? To thinking, oh shit, I could die at any moment, or I have to, like, my loved one could die at any moment, or... And I think that the more aware and conscious we are and honest with ourselves about that, as opposed to something exogenous, you know, like, oh, something's gonna come, and no, I mean, come on, like, really? Like, just be honest with yourself for 5 minutes. Like, that's just, like, if you really drill down with people, like, very few people actually believe that.
I often also struggle with the idea that, I mean, not thinking anything happens, what I believe, after I die, makes me feel like I have a kind of FOMO. Like, there's so many movies I'm not going to be able to see, there's so many songs I'm not going to be able to hear. And it doesn't make sense, right, rationally, because by ceasing to exist, I also lose the mechanism by which I would miss anything. Nevertheless, I still think I'm going to miss out on a bunch of shit. Does anyone else have that?
Yeah.
Raise your hands if you got that. Yeah, raise them if you got them, I always say.
Okay, so raise your hands for this one. Really just think about this. Just think about this for a second. Would you really, truly want to live forever? That to me is a hell.
I actually
That is
would.
what hell would be. You do?
I'd do it, yeah, of course I would. Yeah. Who else raised their hand? Oh yeah, there's a few people.
There's a few people. So I guess we could drill down on that.
I feel like I've been doing it already.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can totally see that.
You're like, yeah, I had lunch with you, I get it.
Totally see that. Yeah.
Can we talk about your childhood a bit? Growing up, are there any habits that you regret from your younger years?
Yeah, this is a little goofy, but I regret eating all that sugar. Like I regret drinking, you know, Cokes and eating a bunch of shit.
Really?
Yeah. I wish I don't know, it probably did incalculable damage to my body from eating all that garbage.
Do you think if you didn't do that at a young age, you would have been doing it now?
No, I think, you know, everybody has a time in their life for something. And I do believe, you know, in some Eastern traditions, you know, if a man walks in the desert and waters a plant that will never grow. I mean, it's a silly kind of a thing, but the sentiment is there. Does that develop will? So I do think that there's something analogous to will, in a sense, that you can cultivate certain dispositions in yourself. And so I just don't think I was ready at that time. And so now I just don't eat stuff like that. I live in a very, you know, I live in a way, I mean, what did Kate Moss say? Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels, right? So I just live in a very kind of particular way.
That should be attributed to you, not Kate Moss. Oh, I'd have that on a poster in my house. You mentioned will. Do you believe in free will?
No, not really. A little bit. I'm kind of a compatibilist. Yes and no. Probably no, ultimately. But either way, I wouldn't live my life differently if it were free will or not.
Yeah, I don't think you even can you?
No, I mean, Dawkins has written about that. He was on your show, and then my friend Jerry Coyne has written about that. No, I just, so many people are fascinated by that question, but I'm not really interested in it that much because I don't think it helps you live a better life.
Okay, well, what's an idea that you think would help us live a better life that you would like to promulgate and perhaps be remembered for?
The one I said before, just develop a habit of thought. Like, how could I be wrong about that? Oh, like, what would it take for me to change my mind? So I think that there are ways that people can level up as a human being. I really believe this. I think that there are ways that things that people can do and experiences that people can have that they can just become better versions of themselves. So I'll give you an example. And I've also realized that, like, I think very few people are capable of this. And I don't say that in a demeaning or condescending way. I don't mean to be self-aggrandizing, but I think that this is, so I have been doing this now for years, and it's completely changed my life. I have not been tapping from exhaustion. So I do jujitsu pretty seriously. It's like wrestling. And so when somebody gets on top of me and they're just like beating the shit out of me, I don't quit. I just deal with it. I just suffer it. I just endure it. And I mean, I have had just enormous people just grinding their shoulders and knee riding, skull riding me, and I just don't tap. I mean, I'll tap if I'm gonna break something or if I'm gonna pass out. But there's something about the habituation of that levels you up as a human. And this is what I said to you outside it. I think that you know, the hook, like what happened to you is a way that you have involuntarily, every moment of the day, you're not tapping from exhaustion. Now, the difference is you didn't voluntarily enter into that. So it's very difficult, like, you know, like if you lift weights, for example, there are these principles that, you know, if you're bench pressing, from 9 to 10 is more difficult than 1 to 9. So there are these kind of built-in structures that we can tap into, you know, like, but again, I think that principle is key. You just can't quit. Like, you just have to deal with it. And when someone is on top of you and they just want to do nothing but make your life miserable, or they're just suffocating you, fucking deal with it. Like, you have one life, like YOLO, just fucking deal with it. Don't tap. Don't tap when you're hot. Don't tap when you're tired. Don't tap when you're exhausted. Don't tap when someone's like, oh, you were right. Roy was right. Someone's phone did ring. Wow.
Jack.
Was it Roy's phone? That would have been good. No, okay.
Oh. Anyway, yeah.
So are you trying to say that adversity is necessary for growth?
I guess at one level, I think you can grow in certain ways without adversity. I mean, like look, you could study a text, but there's something about an external force that's upon you that it's very few people can impose that on themselves. Maybe people who run like hundreds of miles of, you know, what are those things, ultra marathon, like there's a slim percentage of people that can externally impose it. But when it's imposed, internally imposed. But when it's externally imposed, there's something that facilitates it was an inchoate thought up until recently, but there's something that just facilitates a leveling up as a being. It just is a being leveler.
Is that what you would describe as, I think, one of my questions was going to be, is there a lesson that you've learnt that had you learned it earlier in life would have changed your life for the better? Or is that something that you think you just accrued over time? Is there some piece of wisdom that you could go back and tell yourself that would have made everything?
Yeah, tons, but I wouldn't have listened to myself because I wasn't ready to receive it. So that's the problem with youth, right?
And
it's also
so you just answered the question about you just answered the question about do it like you're better off like learning yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, there has to be something, the locus of control. You know, there has to be something. You have to kind of. I'm a big believer in taking responsibility and agency for yourself.
What is something that you do differently to everyone else?
I'm going to tell you this, but people are probably going to have a freaking heart attack when I say this. I consume an insane amount of salt. Like I wake up, thank you. I'm always literally flabbergasted when I get the results back from my doctor that says my sodium content is normal. So I have these packets, they're basically 1,000 milligrams of salt, and I'm up to like 8 packets a day. So I've been traveling since August, and literally 40% of my luggage, 50% of my luggage is jujitsu and salt packets, LMNT packets. So, and then my team is here. Every time I go someplace, for gifts in Christmas, they always bring me salt shakers. And I just, you know, and when, like today when we ate breakfast, I took the top off the salt, I put it in my hand and I just plunked it down. I just love salt. I mean, I'm just like, I think it's the closest thing I have to an addiction.
What is a...
You're taken aback by that.
I just need a moment to compose myself.
I was actually wondering if we had
salty.
some salt for that, but yeah.
Yeah. What is a belief that you hold that you know most people disagree with?
That we're alone in the universe.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah,
like the universe?
I don't think there's any other intelligent life in the universe.
Oh, you don't think there is? Interesting. Based on what?
It's a longer conversation, but first of all, there's no evidence. I had a long conversation with my buddy Lawrence Krauss about this, and with Shermer and some Brian Keating and some other people. But well, one, we have no evidence of it. Two, we would have seen something. There was this guy von Neumann hypothesized a von Neumann probe. It's just these self-replicating probes that would either take in gas from gas giants or stars or what have you. We haven't seen that. There's just no evidence. My very good friend Matt Thornton said to me, "There's been a Darwin of biology, but no Darwin of cosmology." So there's been no kind of. I think that the current model in which we're operating is not merely incorrect, but just we've completely misconstrued the nature of reality.
Do you think that makes our roles as humans more important if we are the only people in the universe?
No, I think it's ultimately irrelevant. I think the only thing that's relevant is kind of how you live your life. What do you do?
What is something that you've changed your mind about recently?
So I'll tell you something. I don't cross my arms because I'm defensive. I have a super bad shoulder that I continuously re-injure from jiu-jitsu, from having these large, very young men trying to kill me. I've changed. Okay, so here's something. So I think sometimes cultural programming is so totalizing and pervasive that it would take a value that's rationally derivable and override it. Like it would, so for example, I used to talk a lot about why free speech is important. And the reason for that is I used to say cognitive liberty is important. And it is. It's indispensable to civilized societies. But I no longer talk about that. I talk about things that are value neutral, that cannot be influenced, that have no emotional or psychological valence to them. I talk about it strictly in terms of error correction. So the way that you can construct an institution in a society is to preserve the method of error correction. So that's why political correctness is a toxin. That's why blasphemy is a toxin. Blasphemy laws is institutionalized. So I've changed my mind about how to kind of, I don't know, brand, it doesn't, not the right word, market's the right word, but how to help people understand that we can live better lives without appealing to values. Because I believe those values are rationally drivable. But if you say error correction, everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, we want to correct errors. Even the mullahs, they want to correct errors. But they want to, the problem is that if you truly want to correct errors, you can't have immutable starting points. Like everything has to be on the table.
So what you've changed your mind about is more of a rebrand, effectively.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I really have to think more about the question. I guess, so I always say when I do street epistemology, every time I ask someone a question and they say, I don't know, I say, that's a great answer. So I guess I don't know, and I think that's a pretty good answer. Because if we had a culture in which everybody started saying, I don't know, when you asked them a question they didn't know, then you'd have a culture in which nobody pretended to know things they don't know. Like that would be a value that everybody had.
Tell me about, I'm going to ask one more question, then I've got a couple more, but while we're doing that, you're going to eat.
Dying for
I'm
that.
going to eat.
Yeah,
Do you want to try some of it?
No, I'll wait. Oh,
You
I'm
sure?
good. Yeah, I'm cool.
Okay. If you had to relive an entire year of any year of your life, come January 1 next year, and you don't get to take your experience with you and memory and all that. It's just hitting repeat on a year. What year would that be?
Like eternal recurrence, so that it would just live for eternity? Well, that's pretty cool.
And is that Nietzsche? Or?
Yeah, it predates him, but has a pedagogy. I mean, it has a pedigree. So I guess I can think there have been some seminal moments of my life. Like I remember when my son was born, and the doctor said, do you want to put your hand on his head. I was like, oh my God. Like, and I went like this, and that just like blew me away. I adopted him, my daughter from China. She's a disabled girl in an orphanage, and that was kind of when they brought her to the door, that was a seminal moment. But I don't know, I have to say, like, any of the last few years of my life, like I'm truly telling you, like, my life is awesome. Like, I couldn't, if I waved a wand, I couldn't possibly have a better life. Like, truly, I have people love me. I do work that matters. My life is just amazing. So I guess any year of my life in the last 5 years would do it.
And what's the highest compliment anyone's ever paid you?
My son, my son said to me that he wants to have kids. And I said to him, how would you change? What would you do differently than the way you were raised? And he said to me, I wouldn't change a thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you get some pork now, okay? And then once he's finished his meal, we're all going to kill him, okay?
Am I going to eat in
That's how
front
the
of
show works.
everybody? I'm just going to eat in front of everybody?
Slurp, like you usually
Just
do.
have a bite.
Oh my gosh! All right. So can I narrate it a little bit?
Yeah, you have to. You must, in fact. Yeah.
This is okay. So this is the, and I literally just mentioned one time to him that I love duck fat. In England, you can get these like little vats of duck fat, and I was just dropping my eggs in them. Oh, heaven! Oh my God!
He
Oh
hates
my
it.
God!
Needs more salt.
Actually, when we were cooking this, because we cooked it today back at my place in Brooklyn, and my partner Lauren's like, "Oh, we didn't put enough salt on it." I'm like, "No, I did it before it went in." She's like, "But it's Peter Boghossian. Needs more salt."
It's going to sound trite to say, but it's delicious. It's perfectly crisp. It tastes like I can taste the duck fat. This fatness just permeating it. It's like heaven.
Perfect.
I'm really grateful. I'm grateful everybody's here, and I'm super grateful for our friendship, our relationship, and Lauren and everybody, my team. I'm just super grateful for everything. Like my life is so awesome, and everybody's here. Well, really, it's true. Every day is like awesome, and like now people are here, and we're kind of celebrating it. I mean, I hope I'm not going to die anytime soon.
Tell me, I've just got a couple more questions while you eat your food, which will be interesting for you to answer. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
What do you think, Reed? Reed doesn't know. He's like one of my best friends. We go everywhere together, but we don't do everything together. Let's see. That was a joke. Nobody laughed at that. I guess, really, you just have one life, and I really believe, Aristotle writes, I don't know why I'm talking about Aristotle so much, but, all people want to know what's true. Like, I actually believe that. I think that's true. It's really difficult to figure out what's true. It's much easier to figure out what's false. It's fairly simple, right? So, but to do that, you have to cultivate certain habits in yourself. And to do that, you have to accept, the skin on that was excellent. And to do that, you just have to be honest with yourself. Or you have to really engage in a kind of radical self-honesty. And I think I don't know this is speculative, I'm kind of thinking out loud now, but I think if you cultivate that habit or that disposition, I think that just kind of bleeds out over time. And that will, increase as kind of like an exponential curve, or I guess it would be kind of covariant with it, that you'd see that manifest in the quality of your relationships. That'd be my guess.
And this is the idea that you want to be remembered for, you think?
I think so. I think, ask yourself, how could I be wrong? Be willing to change your mind. Like, be willing to revise your belief. There's no possible way anybody can tell me who's sitting in here that they're right about everything. If that's the case, you're totally delusional. Like you're delusional. So you have to kind of be more humble about what it is that you think you know. And I think that that's a long, hard road to travel because it takes a kind of self-honesty and it takes a kind of, you have to be willing to take the hits from people you care about and people who care about you. But I am telling you, the quality of your friendships and your romantic relationship in your life will be so much higher if you do that. Because you'll know exactly, the people who love you will know exactly who you are, and there's no faking it there.
Peter Boghossian, thank you for being on Last Meal.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, brother. Amazing.
Peter Boghossian has cultivated a practice of enduring what's imposed upon you without quitting. He believes this levels you up as a human being, that we access something fundamental when we choose not to tap out from exhaustion or discomfort. It's a philosophy that feels painfully familiar to me. Life isn't about struggle, but about staying long enough in discomfort to discover what we're made of. And that's all from me.